Welcome to the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast, where art and wellness collide. Well, hi and welcome back to the Healthy Metal Hippie. Today we are here with our friend Aeternus from the band Aeternus. You are coming to us from Bergen in Norway. I'm just delighted to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Yay! We met some months ago because I was helping you guys with some social media work. You came to London, you played a killer show at the Underworld, and now you've got tons of stuff coming up, which we'll talk about later, but now here we are getting to have a nice sit down, a nice relaxing moment today.
How about that? That's cool. Thank you.
So you started Aeternus back in 1993. You are the founding creator of Aeternus. How did it come about for you?
I was 20 years old, and I figured it was time for me to do what I really wished for, and I felt I was good enough on the guitar to start a band. And I had friends that had, they had bands. 2 years before 1991, I tried to have a band, which didn't go very well. And I was a little bit kind of, what music do I really want to play? Is this really me? And I had a lot of that going, and I'll keep it to that. It was a lot of stuff, but I can't even remember if it just faded away or if I sat down and said, no, maybe both actually, But I had new visions, and I had a more solid kind of shit. I know what I want to do. So again, I formed a band and I called it Aeternus. I actually was going to call it Eternal, but I knew there was probably 500 bands and 5,000 songs called Eternal. So I found the Latin word for eternal, hence Aeternus, which is Latin for eternal. And it sounded better and it kind of looked better. And I figured not too many Latin bands or songs called that. So I was fine with that. And I set out to have my own music, my own band. And I wanted to go for death metal. The term dark metal was not in my brain yet. And I had a few musicians in and out the first year. And then we did a demo the next following year. And then in 95, 2 years later, after I started up, I figured that I was not interested in being just another black metal band from Norway. But I didn't want to be like a pure death metal band either, even though that was a lot of my influences and inspiration. And I can't remember if it was me or somebody else in the band at the time. It was at least just said out loud during a practice. It's like, well, our music is very down-tuned. It's not really black metal, not really death metal. Something in between is dark metal, right? Dark music, dark metal.
Yeah.
And obviously that was like, whoa, yeah, okay, rock and roll, that we have it, So that was what we did. That's how I have been putting my music into a category ever since. And, fellow musicians, fans, or whatnot have always kind of felt like it was actually a very good classification of musically, at least, like what we do. So that's how dark metal came to be our thing. So that's that.
I love it. I think it's really interesting how you touched on like, what was I wishing for? Right.
Right.
I don't know. I think when you're talking about, you're 20, you're thinking I'm ready to start making music and things like that.
Be in a band.
Exactly. And I think it's really, really cool because you I don't know, you have all these ideas, right, of what you should do and blah, 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 but you find that thing that aligns with who you are. And it's just like, you can't let it go, right?
No.
And so that's finding the band. It's, getting into whatever work that you end up doing or how you live your life or anything like that. And honestly, it's just exciting to me that you were able to do that at such a young age, because a lot of people, I think, struggle with it.
Yeah, that's true. And also at first you're happy just to find a bunch of guys that wants to play with you. and you're having a lot of fun, just partying and drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and being all cool and playing together, and you have fun, and very quickly we were actually lucky to be able to participate in some kind of, I don't know if you can call it festivals, but like gatherings of different types where different bands were giving an opportunity to play live. Shit, I can't remember if it was like already the first year of the band's existence. Already before '94, at some point, we did get an opportunity to play live, and I think we had only 4 songs, and we played those 4 songs. And I don't even think that all of those songs were the ones that we actually put on the demo the following year. So I was like, put it into the fire and did my first live show extremely quickly. And it was horrible. The feeling, I was just super nervous. But at the same time, you felt that kind of like, oh, dude, this was cool. It was fun, And there was a lot of feedback coming also from the people that was listening to us. And I was like extremely surprised. I couldn't believe they liked it, because you were like very, the self-confidence wasn't really there because everything was just so new. But it really kind of lit the fire. It's like, okay, I want to do this. This is real, Like when I was younger, like when I was a kid, I was just looking at Kiss and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. But I didn't know how to get there to be like the band Kiss. But it looked really cool. And then, of course, when I finally got to do that first show, I remember it's like, okay, now, I'm not going to fucking quit doing this. This was really cool. And it fueled everything, just to keep going, keep making music and hoping for other opportunities to play shows and so forth. I was very serious about, being in a band and having that very on an early stage in my life, having that as a my type of meaning of life in a way, And it's like, this is what I do. I play the guitar, I play in the band. Sure, I'm not making any money, but I figured out how to do that also, of course. But it was really, it was like a way of life very early, definitely.
Oh, I love that. And so, okay, so you got that like spark from that first show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Did that help you build confidence in other areas of your life as well?
Yeah, I guess, self-esteem and how you feel about yourself and daring to do things, when you do live shows and you're like very, you're on display, you're naked to a bunch of people, watching you play the guitar. There's a bunch of musicians out there. There's musicians that would just pound you into the ground by just a couple of riffs, always there was always somebody better than you and so forth. And as time goes on, you build up your self-esteem and your confidence. That goes into other parts of life too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And personality, how you deal with whatnot, personal life or private life or like just work or whatnot, when you actually find yourself mastering that position and being that person on stage, like me as a singer, I was like a front man. You pull the band through the shit. You get a lot of focus being standing there in the middle, playing the guitar and singing. So yeah, that it does a lot when you understand that you master that. Of course, yeah, it does something to you.
I think it's cool. It's like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the theme that keeps coming up over the past several episodes on here is like that idea of just doing it scared. And sometimes you might be like, oh, fuck, can I do this? But when you just plow through it and you go for it, you're like, oh, shit, actually, I'm pretty great.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good feeling too. When, I think there's so many times that we hold ourselves back from doing all the things that we like dream of and that we want to in life, just because we're like, oh, I don't know, it's scary. What if this doesn't work?
If you don't practice enough, you'll be very quickly in that situation where you're like, oh no, you feel very naked and you feel like, this is not going to go well. Then you understand, okay, you didn't practice that enough. You can't play a song and then when you come to the lead, for example, and then it's like, oh shit, after this verse I have to play that lead. that's a good sign. Like, okay, you didn't practice it enough, because you're supposed to go into that lead completely blowing everybody's head off. Don't play any
Yeah.
mistakes, and just show off that, okay, I can do this. I made it. I can play it. I practiced it. But if you're like, and I've been in that situation myself, like, been a little bit cocky, didn't practice a lead too much. I know that. I made it. I know it. And then all of a sudden you're standing there on stage, like, oh shit, you feel a little nervous. So you realize way too late, that you didn't practice it enough. So you might fuck it up, and you might fuck it up just because you put yourself in that mindset, like, oh no. So it's just kind of, it's like a snowball, just.
Obviously, I'm not in a band, but, if anybody wants me, here I am. But it's like, I've done different speaking engagements and things like that, and I've been like, oh my God. And then I can just show up and go, well, hi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it is just about, okay, we're going to get through this, and off we go, and press play, and that's it. Yeah, but it takes a lot of guts to do it.
You have to like it, and you have to own it, and you have to believe in yourself, and think ahead of like, can I do it? Will people like it? You just got to pretend that people already like it, and just completely, and then what drives you to do it? Like, just playing with a band and just having all these emotions that you've created yourself with the band just flow out of you should be enough, to just kind of completely show yourself how you want to be. And then if people like it, that's the bonus. You just got to do your thing. And once you realize that, I think it's easier. Like, if you have like a show, or you're just talking to people, or if you're having a course or whatever, you just got to own it. Just pretend everybody is interested, and just go for it, and believe in yourself. And, you also realize very quickly that the feedback and being in that position is something that really drives you and fuels you, and you like being there, because if you don't, you'll be quickly just quitting, of course, because, okay, that was not for me. I felt horrible playing, even though I did it okay. And I know a lot of musicians that just, no, that was not for me. Maybe they lost a big burning flame and passion. Maybe they just kind of tested it out. Is that, no, not for me. It didn't give them anything after all. But for me, it was just constant fuel and drive, just building up. You wanted more and more and more and more. And you realize that a bunch of people like your stuff, and as a creative composer and a musician that actually make music, and you manage to, evolve. So, it's just a freight train just going. So you just got to hang on. Just hang on. Control the drink, control the drugs if that's your thing. Whatever, just stay with the music, and don't let all these other things control it too much.
How have you been able to, like, just keep control of, stay with the music and not let those, like, maybe external influences, like, hit you?
There's been some albums that didn't sell as much. You always want any album to just, okay, hope this goes well. Hope, the reviews and, fans or fellow musicians, and then so it goes up and down sometimes. And I've had that too. And then as a composer, I sit down and think, like, okay, not what did I do wrong? Because I've always had like a feeling like, I presented music to 3 other people that said, this is good. Okay, so we rehearse, we go to studio, and we would never leave the studio without saying, this is good. So you present it to the record label, and they got to take it for what it is. And then, but then, okay, so this album or that album did poorly. And as a composer, I'm feeling like, okay, what could I've done? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Did I spend too much time or too little time? That's my first kind of thinking, of course. But at the same time, you're just like, I feel like I always felt like I just got to own it, though, because I was satisfied. I stand by it. I can look, of course, back to the first album today with my knowledge of composing music. And I could have sat down and say, okay, I would have redone this and that and blah, blah. Obviously, because I was much younger back then and I didn't know about a bunch of things and so forth. And I didn't have the skills as a composer and so forth. So I can easily look at older stuff and say, okay, that song can be a little boring for people to listen to. And I can understand that they would rather listen to that album or blah, blah. I think the band has always managed to kind of just to stay with what we did. When people said that, yeah, I much prefer listening to your older stuff, I always been like very grateful for just the honesty. It's like, that's fair, you know, this is what we did now. We stand by it. You like the older albums, which is fine. And I've gotten a lot of that, you know. I still have people who wants me to make music that sound like the two first albums. And I appreciate that. I think that's a very big compliment still for something we made so long ago in 97 and 98. But I do tell them that's never going to happen. I will not sit down and make something that sounds just like that. But I'm very happy that they sit and still, you know, spin those albums at home. We never leave the studio without feeling completely confident and happy about for ourselves, like that we did good. If people don't like it, that's fair, you know, and we can take the criticism as long as it's constructive, you know.
There's always something to be said about that. First of all, yes, if you have a band that's had any length of career, you're always going to have the people, oh, I like the older stuff, or I like the new stuff, or whatever. So
nobody liked everything.
No, exactly.
Not without the dude.
You know, I'm a big Aerosmith fan, and I always think, I'm like, oh, what? There's one live recording, and he goes, you like the old shit, or you like the new shit? And it makes me giggle all the time, because I'm like, oh, okay. There is something as an artist, though, about remembering to, yes, be true to yourself and release things for yourself first and foremost, because you need to be happy with them, right? Of course, there's like elements of, ooh, is this commercially viable or whatever? But if you're miserable with it, then it's lost all of its meaning and all of its passion.
Yeah.
Like, so I have to applaud you in that you're allowing yourself to grow and evolve and change as an artist. It's huge, right?
Yeah. And you sit down and rethink things, of course, you know, when you have albums that didn't do very well and maybe you had like, you know, record labels that said, you know, okay, this didn't do very well and, you know, whatever it may be, like, yeah, I can't justify some continuance in our you know, relationship and how we work together. You know, it's all, you know, budget wise or whatnot. You know, and you sit down and think, and of course, you know, if you manage to, you always keep, you know, working on your style and your skills and how you make music. And I think I was successful in kind of like pinpointing. It's like, yeah, that was. You know, I think I knew what was kind of like the downsiders of different things here and there on the albums that didn't do as well as we wanted to, and maybe not as well as the labels wanted to. If you just kind of try to push away, like, you know, it's the promotion, it's not our fault, blah blah. But musically, I always felt like I found out like, yeah, this and that, and had that in mind when I made new music. And I also spent more time making music, which can be, of course, like demanding and challenging, but spending way more time making albums. So the last three albums were very, very much more higher quality seen from our view than previous albums. And that's because we took our time way more doing them. There was no ideas whatsoever that we didn't kind of check out and test, and numerous hours of practice. And so, yeah, it's just, you know, and then you become more successful.
People think about, okay, dark metal, black metal, death metal, and just like, oh no, it's so spooky and so evil. But I listened to it and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually, yeah, of course it's heavy, but there's some absolutely stunningly beautiful pieces through all of the albums that at least that I've listened to. And so I know you mentioned, okay, things like Kiss and different like death metal and things like that. But it sounds to me like you have pulled influence from like tons of different genres and types of music. What are some things that you feel like have impacted you the most?
Well, in the beginning, I was very influenced by a lot of metal bands, but like Kiss and Metallica. Metallica made me kind of want to play the guitar, and Kiss, when I was like a young boy, I just like millions of other boys, it's like, oh, I want to do that, but you never kind of knew how. But I was older when I fell for Metallica, and then I knew like, okay, I need a guitar because I got to do this. I got to do what James Hetfield does because playing guitar was just, I had to do that. And but so I listened to. I mean, I was very influenced by Immortal, and I was quite influenced by they were friends of ours. I mean, Hades Almighty from Bergen. I was very influenced by them. I was influenced a little bit, from listening to Emperor, maybe Satyricon. I think Immortal was the band, maybe some Hades Almighty stuff almost kind of poured into some of my riffs and stuff, where I had to kind of rethink what I did because I listened too much to them, and then it's not smart to sit down and make music after you pound through in one of your favorite band's albums. It's like, it's like sitting there and listening to Blizzard Beasts, and I was like, okay, I'm now going to make some songs, and then so they will sound very much like Blizzard Beasts.
Right.
But Morbid Angel, huge metal influence for me. But what I did, I was also listening to a lot of folk music. I was listening a lot to piano music, bagpipes. Dead Can Dance, for example, have nothing to do with rock and roll or metal or anything. And Dead Can Dance with Lisa Gerrard's absolutely fantastic, unique voice. That music that they have there, I don't know if people even know what Dead Can Dance is, but look it up if you guys don't know what that is, because that is very unique and special. Lisa Gerrard, Dead Can Dance. And some Norwegian fiddle, old folk music. There is a Scandinavian band or like a group called Hedningarna, which means the heathens, which had old Scandinavia type of traditional, like their own take on old traditional folk music. And I put that into the emotional part of making metal music. So what then that enabled me to do was to emotionally use that and then turn that into metal riffs, where it, of course, obviously it didn't sound anything like these people, but the emotions and how I felt pushed me to make the music. And that was a very interesting way to work for me. And I did that for extremely a long time. I might actually still do it today, even though maybe it's not as a focused way of making music. But that was a lot of how it all worked for me back in the day. The mix of your kind of metal band heroes with that other type of thing, obviously Kiss, like you say, Aerosmith or CC Top. I was always a big fan of that. And just how that made you feel and how you got that groove, and you sit down and you make some metal riffs based on the groove and the feel, but you don't go for the actual riffing, just how you feel.
Oh, I love that. And so, I'm happy because I felt like, yes, there's a lot of like folk influence there too in some ways. And I'm like, phew, I do love a good folk song but you can, I don't know, it just feels too like it's in like, yes, that traditional folk music, but like the folk gets embedded in all the metal that comes out of Norway. It absolutely feels like that too. But there's the way you do it, it's just beautiful. And
Thank you.
I'm a big fan, just saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, and I think people get too kind of up their own ass about things like, we can take influence from like every little thing in our life
Anything.
and make it into the thing that we love, right?
Yeah.
You know, I actually, you know, it's funny because I like a lot. I'm a big classic rock lover. I love punk rock, and I also, I love weird hippie folk, I don't know, underground, whatever, all sorts of weird stuff. And I love all my pop and like my dance music too. Super fun. But I used to have people be like, well, you're not metal. You can't even say that you are. And I'm like, just calm your fucking titties down, okay? Because I'm allowed to be multiple things at once.
You can.
And I'm allowed to be influenced by lots of things at once. And it's
okay.
I don't know. We don't need to gatekeep all of this stuff.
Yeah, young people tend to kind of point at you, you know, and then because they want to be all flashy and cool and you're not underground and blah blah, you know. But as time goes on, you learn that, you know, it's quite okay to sit down and listen to Mariah Carey if you want to, and then put on Slayer the next day. I don't listen to Mariah Carey myself, but I can say she's an absolutely fantastic singer. Celine Dion, same thing. Absolutely love her voice, but I don't need to sit and listen to it. And I don't, but I have done it enough to say I am extremely impressed by those two women, for example. And that's fine if somebody says, you know, how can you be so metal if you like Celine Dion? And then I'll just say, that's very easy, actually. You should try it. You know, it'll always be like that, you know. And people say, like, yeah, it's not underground. It's not underground. You got to keep it underground. It's like, okay, so why do I have to keep it underground? And why do you define underground? And yeah, this band and that band is sellout and they do big arenas. And it's like, they deserve that. And they make it huge. And it sounds fucking awesome. It looks awesome. I don't care. Oh, this and that band. They even like sell coffee with their band name on it. I wish I could. Fucking hell. There's nothing wrong about that. You can sell t-shirts, caps, coffee, belt buckles. Who gives a shit? A fan of that band loves having that shit. So,
yeah,
that's fine.
When people break through, the sellouts, it drives me insane because it's like, you love this band. Don't you want them to make a living? Don't you want them to keep making music? How about be happy? We want them in arenas if they can be in stadiums like Maiden. Yeah. Wow, delightful. But it's like, it's just so silly. Or, you know, I think like Metallica. Yeah, I saw them back when they were playing this shitty club. It's like, that's great. But it doesn't mean that somebody that started seeing them now is not also the same level of fan madness, I tell you.
You can say, okay, I don't like that band did this and that, and then you can stop listening to them and you can burn their albums and do YouTube videos where you crack up their vinyls and spit on them. Fine. But, you know, that will be forgotten very quickly. And the band themselves don't give a shit about those idiots anyway. So if that's really important to people, go ahead.
Today we're recording this on World Beatles Day, and we can think about how many people burned the Beatles records, right? And did that really impact them? No, because it's like, 50, 60 years later, and we're having a global Beatles Day. So there you go.
There you go.
And they probably they sold more records when everybody went out and bought them again.
Some of the huge bands within the extreme metal. I am also one of those guys who I would tend to listen to their older stuff, but I don't sit there and laugh at them and call them sellout or like, okay, I could say their music is boring to me musically compared to older stuff because bands do change their ways, but that's fine. That's how it is. Metallica made me want to play the guitar, but I don't like the latest Metallica albums. James just don't make music like he used to. And that's completely fine. I still love the guy. I'm still thankful for what he did to me. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you on your show if it wasn't for him. And so I can't sit there and say, 72 seasons. That's an album I really gave a lot of time. I did find some moments there where I was sitting there like, shit, this is fucking awesome. This is not bad at all. Weighing it up against that older, Master of Puppets, I don't think they will ever manage to do something like Master of Puppets, and that's because they did Master of Puppets when they did Master of Puppets. James can make a million awesome riffs, but he will never manage to put them together where you have that same feeling as Master of Puppets, And that's completely fine.
Everybody evolves, time passes. We're not the same person we were probably even a year ago.
No.
Right?
Yeah, right.
And so why would you expect that your work and your art and everything else stays the same? Because nothing stays the same.
And if you want to stop listening to me or Aeternus or whatever, it's like, that's fine. That's okay.
I'm not going to, though.
Thank you. Yeah, but there's been people who tell me, it's like, I only listened to your 2 albums. I don't think you made any progress. It's like, thank you. I appreciate that you still like that old stuff, and it's completely fair that you don't view any of the other albums as good. That's okay. It's a huge compliment to what I managed to do as a young guy at 23 or 24 years old. Wow. Thank you.
I have to say, I really, just listening to all of this, I really admire you for that, because I would consider myself quite like a sensitive person. I'd be like, well, but if it were me, I might be like, but why don't you like them now? And I might feel quite upset about that. But what I see here and what I really love is like this self-assured, this confidence in what you do, confidence in self, and just like, showing up for yourself instead of technically showing up for other people, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna just take a little piece of that and put that in here, which, to be fair, I am doing better, but I think it's really cool, and I think a lot of people could learn a good lesson from that, showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
You should be happy about that,
I am.
I love the fact that, in general, you appreciate life. I see you're always out in nature, getting outdoor walks, bike rides, all sorts of things. You enjoy a nice glass of wine, a nice gin, even that Kiss gin,
Right.
So do you use, nature as some influence? And you've built like just a really nice, well-rounded, beautiful life, it seems. It just makes me happy. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of metal bands are and individuals in the extreme metal music scene are quite fond of nature. And perhaps the more darker side of it, the mysticism or the more trollish side of it, whatnot. The harmony between man or humans and nature are quite searched upon, or it's always been like that, and I was no different. Like, I was very into nature, and I would like as searching for inspiration for music or lyrics or whatnot. Maybe mostly music. I would run into a storm if there was a storm, and I was always very, as a young musician in my 20s, I was extremely taken by storms and wind, and I felt like maybe that was a thing because my element was air. Not that I kind of like super philosophically kind of went deeply into it, but I was like, yeah. And I still love nature. I mean, it's just, nature is really beautiful, and it's such a majestic, mighty, big thing. And as a musician, of course, you have a lot of, you connect emotionally with a lot of stuff, and to not connect emotionally with the mighty majesticness of nature, it's just such an automatic thing. So yeah, and like in bicycling, I mean, I like riding bicycle. I always did since I was a kid. I still do it now today because it's good for health, right? You got to exercise,
Mm,
get the heart going. So I still enjoy that, and super nice sceneries, hiking. It's all like it's beautiful bonus, you know.
yeah.
Um, so I'm really into that still. Yes, not as far as like making music and finding inspiration. I would not be that one guy who runs up in the mountains and then come back with 5 songs in my brain. You know, like
Right.
I'm not into that anymore. I would go up in the mountains just to kind of get away from the city, find some
Mm.
tranquility, and just good for the health. And it's just an awesome feeling being up there. You know.
I agree. I think when you're out in nature, you have that connection with yourself and with
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of the rest of the world, while also just yeah having that space to reflect. But I
yeah,
mean, yeah, and you are quite you do your workouts and all that
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
too, right? You are quite a healthy fella.
Well, time don't stand still, right? So I'm 53 now,
Hmm.
and there's a lot to gain from just training and working out, and keeping alcohol under control, which I have no problem with. I quit the huge party going out to pub life many years ago,
Mm.
so it's not even in my interest to be so heavy on all of that, you know. And
Mm.
because of that, also you enjoy it more when you finally pop open a wine. You know, it's like you can enjoy it more. For me, that's how it works now. And yeah, and I like training because it's good for me. You know, I feel
Yeah.
that I feel a little bit younger than 53, even though I am 53. Hey, that's pretty cool. I promise.
And I mean, and you look younger than 53, so
Thank
that's
you.
good. I'm just saying, I I I agree. Yeah. There is something about like just being constantly moving, and that just in general is good for your health. I
Yeah.
know for me, like my weightlifting and all my whatever kind of cardio I'm doing for the day, that is super helpful for me just for keeping my stress under control.
Right. Right.
Um, does it help with your mental health and things like that as well?
I think automatically it does, you know,
Hmm.
because you feel workouts and training, you know, whatever you do, it boosts. You know, you sleep better, you sleep more, you wake up more refreshed and mentally. I mean, it's all connected, definitely. I think so,
It's,
without actually noticing much, maybe, but I think it's all connected for sure.
I feel like if I have to, take a break from like weight training, I notice. And I think probably
Yeah,
people around me notice too, because I'm just a little bit more, a
yeah,
little more kind of like, okay, let's go do something. I can kind of calm down a
yeah,
bit
yeah.
more when I have worked out because I have a lot of energy. So
But I mean, you feel bad mentally when you're drained of energy and you're tired, and you get all exhausted by just taking the trash out, and you feel like you've been running
mm,
for an hour, but you just went like 3 meters to put the trash out in the bin, and you're like, and
yeah,
that it does a lot to you, and bad sleep is horrible, and it makes your mind completely fucked up, all these type of things.
yes,
And workouts make you sleep better, eat healthy, training, it's just, there's benefits all along, even for the
yeah,
this big muscle in here. So
it's good old noggin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that nut. Yeah, yeah,
No, I think it's really important, and I love when people talk about kind of their, what they do for their own health and wellness overall, because it's important. And I mean,
this tastes good, but it won't do so much good for you.
like, and that's kind of the thing too. I enjoy having a gin. I absolutely do.
Yeah,
I don't enjoy having 5 gins.
No,
Usually even 2 is like too much for me.
it's dangerous
But
to have too much. Alcohol is it's poison. And that's how I feel.
mm,
Like it's just. When I stopped going out and going to bars, it's like I just told myself, like, I can't. You want to do that all your life? Do I really want to do that every Friday and Saturday all my life? And my answer to myself was like, I was not into that anymore. And
was there
yeah,
like a moment that made you
no,
decide
not
that?
really. I
You were
was
just
just
like, I'm getting bored kind of
yeah,
deal?
yeah. It's like and you always kind of like lose one whole day being hungover, and the Sundays was like always just on the couch. And as you got older, the hangovers got worse, and that's just a biological way of life, because metabolism goes down, and hence the alcohol stays longer in your body. It fucks up more of your whole overall function, and
Hmm.
so. And I was not happy with that. I was really not enjoying losing a day, just feeling all shitty, and you eat all this shit and drink, and you eat sweets because you feel sorry for yourself, which doubles up the hangover. And then you wonder, like,
Hmm.
why am I feeling worse? What the hell, So
Exactly.
I
You're
didn't
like,
like it, so I stopped. I wasn't into that anymore. And socially, that was how you kind of met people. But I
mm,
also my social needs at one point just kind of it went down. I didn't need that. I was very okay with not meeting a bunch of people all the time. And as long as it's choice, it's not something I was like put into where I didn't want to be. It was a choice, so it was fine.
yeah,
I was okay.
yeah.
I'm my own
No,
own best friend. So
yeah, as you should be, though. I think we should all be our own best friend, right? And we have all of our people that we keep around us, but it doesn't mean that you have to be out meeting people every freaking day of the week. And that's exhausting too.
I mean, I did that, and I enjoyed it when I did it. But yeah, at one point, that was enough for me.
And I'm sure too, when you're on tour, you meet lots and lots of people there, and I think that's wonderful, right?
Yeah,
But
I won't talk too much about my work, but my work is with a lot of humans, to put it that way, and so I get a lot
mhm,
of. There's a lot of people around me all the time, in different
yeah,
ages, at my work. So when I come home, like just being alone and just not doing so much, it's actually that's where I just completely recharge.
yeah.
And of course, I don't mind going out to meet people and so forth, but I certainly don't do it as much as your average person. But again, it's
Yeah.
a choice, and I'm completely fine with it.
I feel that too. Yeah. If I genuinely love people. Like, I really, really do. But I have, at the end of the day, if I have been doing a lot of peopling, which I do, I'm ready for like, please just head in a box. Nobody talk to me for like at least 2 hours. And,
Exactly.
I feel bad even like for my son sometimes. He knows that there are days where my brain is just fried when I get home. And I'm like, you just, just give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, but that's the way it is. And I think we figure out those routines and little things that work for us to kind of help us be our best selves in all the other ways, right?
definitely.
So you have some exciting shows coming up for Eternus.
Yeah, we have in August we have the Drums of War in Barcelona, where we are performing our first album, Beyond the Wandering Moon. It's full length, um, which is the second time that we do that concept type of thing. We did that at Steelfest in Finland, and so we're doing it for the second time in Barcelona, at the Drums of War festival. Then we have confirmed and all set, ready a little cute Brazilian tour, which will be the second time that we go down there to play some shows. And we are playing together with a Swedish band. Sitting here like being all extremely unprofessional and not remembering their name. Yeah, Centinex was the band. And I checked them out. I did listen to these guys, and actually, that was some fiery shit. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and
that's gonna be amazing.
And obviously, our album Philosopher came out long ago now. So we're gonna go into a period where we're gonna be making music again, and a huge kickstart for that. For me, as the main composer in the band, will be my holidays that are now starting next Wednesday.
Oh, cool!
My first official holiday day. Then I will be doing a lot of, pre-work before we start working together, and I'll be putting a bunch of riffs down, punching that into my computer on my hard drive, and I'll be working on a few structures, a few ideas. Musically, what Aeternus has now kind of brewing for a new album is actually not a lot. We have discussed very little. Yeah, it's not going to make any sense, I think, but I can still say it that a lot of it will be mid-paced, not very fast, for sure. That is something we know. But that's basically Philosopher as well. But there's some more faster, aggressive shit there. But we'll be putting a lot more weight on that groovy, slower type of thing. But yeah, and then you can ask me, what does that mean? And I would say, I don't know, because I don't know yet. But I know it's.
But that's why you got to write it.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's interesting, and that is kind of like a snowball. We just have to throw down the slope to get that building, because we've been doing a lot of practicing and just kind of shows and this concept. Beyond the Wandering Moon, the first album, we had to just kind of put away our set and then make a new set, which was basically, of course, this. Well, you don't make a set, you just play. There was a lot of practice that went into getting some of these songs up and running as live songs. It was like, it took a lot of practice. And yeah, so as a band, we haven't had time yet to really start composing new stuff and working on shit. But this will start happening, and it starts this summer by me actually having time to sit and play a lot of guitar in addition to practice, for shows and so forth. So yeah, very interesting times ahead as far as that. And then whenever anything else as far as live shows, if that, when we have solid news on that, the world will be the first to know.
Yes.
Of course.
If you had one piece of advice you could give to people starting out in the metal world, what would you give?
When you said that, when you asked that, it's funny because then I remember another guy from Behemoth, he was asked that question and he said, don't do it.
Don't do it.
There's too many bands around. He said, shit, he's onto something. But then again, of course, I wouldn't tell people not to start a band, because just enjoy, find your instrument, enjoy the hell out of it, just find that passion. And when you really know that you're doing something you love, then you just take the next step. First and foremost, find out that you really love it, what you're doing, playing your instrument, mastering whatnot, piano, guitar, bass, drums, maybe just singing. And yeah, I wouldn't say that there are so many bands in the world that it's like no use. I won't say I agree, but it was funny to hear him say that, though. I did laugh, and I kind of understand what he means about it. But there is enough room, Every now and then, there's a bunch of bands just dropping out and quitting anything, anyways. So you need replacements. Somebody has to take over. And
Yes.
And they keep the spirit of metal up, and just be yourself, be true be true to things you say and do, and stand by your own actions and words. Don't pretend. Just be real, then you'll get quite far, and then it's nothing wrong about doing mistakes, as long as you're having a lot of fun, and you learn from others, you learn from friends. But at start, it's all about just having a lot of fun and just find your place where we're in your little dream there, and then things will just come. A lot of stuff can come automatically, and then some other stuff you might have to work a little bit for. But yeah, just have fun.
I love that.
Practice a lot. Don't ever stop practicing, and then that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And it's, and it's solid life advice no matter what. So even if you're not out to join or start a metal band. So if people want to follow along, where's the best place to give you all a follow?
Yeah, well, we've got the Aeternus official Instagram account, a bit dormant piece of social media platform at these days. But yeah, and the Facebook, that's where we try to be active as much as we can. Activity there, of course, it goes a little bit up when we're getting close to doing things. Maybe it'll be a little bit more like into a more dormant thing when we start making music and so forth. But I think we're going to try to just kind of keep people into what we're doing, having some fun stuff coming from the practice room, a little bit, a little news reel or whatever, of course, we've always been kind of like in the background, just doing our thing, and then come out of the woods when we have a torch burning. So yeah, it's just, it's just how we are. But yeah, Instagram and Facebook, we still have those two things up and running. Also TikTok for the more younger interested people, but it's not really biggest. I don't even know how that's doing right now these days. But yeah, now mostly it's just Facebook and Instagram, and we keep posting at least news there, and then we'll try to be a little bit more active and have people kind of with us when we start kind of withdrawing to make progress in music.
Well, I'm going to link everything in the show notes below.
Thank you.
And I am going to say thank you so much for being here with me today. I've had a blast and a half, and I can't wait to come out and see you guys again on the road.
Thank you so much. And thank you for support.
Anytime. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Healthy Metal Hippie podcast. For more ways to connect, go to www.healthymetalhippie.com.